I'm just answering the question of Chronic Student in chat. Bishop f1. So as we can see, I'm just trying to create some micro threats, because I can't achieve any theories here. So we have same colored bishop ending. So in general, it makes sense to put pawns on dark squares for me. To put the king in the center makes more sense, I guess, here. Let's put it here. So I want to have my king somewhere on e7 here. But there is still nothing. Okay. At least I try to grab some space, right? So another question, does blitz actually help beginners to improve? Well, I don't know. So I would definitely not play a lot of blitz very near shoes. So I will avoid playing, yeah, just too many blitz games. But sometimes it's a good idea just to sharpen your mind, to sharpen your tactical vision, to actually train your intuition and so on. It makes sense also to analyze your blitz games. So if you don't analyze your blitz games, then of course it makes no sense at all. Okay, position is being changed a bit. Is there a chance for me or not? Don't know. Let's see. I guess I'm a bit more active here. So maybe there are some tiny chances. So Chronic Student says Andre has to play like Carlsen to win this. Well, I have to play better than my opponent to win this. It will be not that easy. And this is kind of improvement for black, because black now has this good pawn mass. Maybe it's still nothing, but it definitely gives me some chances. I have a feeling. Still, it's almost impossible to achieve anything here. Oh, that was a blunder. My opponent didn't take the pawn. I was lucky. Of course, there was a d5 move, kicking my rook away. And then, yeah, then just taking b6. Now I have some chances. Because of better situation on the clock mainly. And kind of extra pawn here. Yeah, now I take on f3, then rook f4, so on. So black already has winning chances in this position. But of course it was a dead draw. Very important moment here. Of course we both made mistakes, but that is kind of a mistake. So it still doesn't make white's position lost whatsoever. Of course it's still a draw, but after c takes d5, as we can see, black has at least an interesting plan of just playing f6, e5 at some point. So this pawn math, as you can see, a lot of pawns working together and just pushing further and so on. Just have a look at Capablanca games, old Capablanca games. So classic examples when he managed to win the rook endgames, which were looking just dead drawish, mainly because of this really slight advantages, like a bit better pawn structure, a bit more active rook, and so on. Yeah, so instead of taking on d5, it was much better to think of, I don't know, rook e4, for instance. So to try to get rid of this active rook, and maybe to improve your position with the help of c4, just kicking it away, maybe continue with a d5 at some point, and so on. Because, well, you also have pawns that can move, and your position is definitely no worse here. Your chances are no worse, so you can also try something active here instead of just staying and waiting a bit. But then, after cd5, rook e5, and here you correctly played c4, because if you wait here, I just play e5 myself and start thinking of winning the game for sure now. And after c4, I don't know, maybe my best chance was still to play e5. I wasn't sure at all if it gives me anything, because it weakens my pawn structure. I have just torn pawns after that. That's why I played here, but, well, here, there is nothing. So I just tried dc4 to change the position, but, yeah, objectively speaking, it's drawish. It's absolutely equal. Here I played e5, and here you had a chance. So after d5, you have a serious advantage because you just grabbed this b6 pawn next move. That was your chance. Okay, let's keep playing. Here is Ricardo. Let's play Ricardo. And white pieces, finally. All right, so let's play b3. Let's keep experimenting. I've never played b3 over the board. This board is virtual one, so why not? Let's play this. So it's Larsen and Simagin. c4. And it can be that there will be just a hedgehog. Again, reversed. So let's see. I can play knight f3 now. I can play a3. I think a3 is interesting. Very flexible move. Covering b4 square and preparing queen to c2. So if black plays d5 at some point, after cd5, knight e5, we will have kind of Sicilian position. And as I said before, a hedgehog. So I will put my pawn on d3. And when you play hedgehog, of course, queen on c2 is kind of typical square. And as you can see, how it was useful to cover b4. So now queen on c4 feels very comfortable. Be not afraid of knight b4 or something. The most efficient setup against the hedgehog is usually a Marozzi bind. So black needs a pawn on c5 to build up this position. But pawn is on c7, so gives me more chances. So it's kind of, yeah, Taimanov reversed maybe even. Knight to f3 looks natural, since black has no this e4 move. So instead of hedgehog, probably I will think of even bishop c4, bishop d3 moves. Those are all possible. Typical for Taimanov, Sicilian Taimanov. For example here, bishop d3 looks very interesting. Attacking h7, and if black plays something like f5, then bishop c4. Can be nothing absolutely for white. So let's start with knight c3 instead. Now I'm kind of thinking of knight e4, f5, bishop c4 check, king goes to h8, knight jumps to g5. Is it an interesting position? Yeah, I think it can be interesting. So let's try it. At least we provoke black to play f5 to weaken this diagonal a bit. a2, g8. Alright, black decided not to weaken it. Pinning my knight e4, I think I can play bishop d3. Because knight b4 is nothing, I just take it. But now I have to be careful not to play b4 at some point, because bishop b4 might be the move within the material. But at the moment I think I have a positional threat. Oriental Heart 1 says, well, short time in general for me causes disasters. Alright, so if you feel not comfortable with the short time, then just avoid playing blitz. It's okay. It's not a shame. There are a lot of players, even on the top level, that play just awful blitz. It's not a problem. For example, world champion Botvinnik played very bad blitz if compared to his strength during playing classic control games. So not a problem, not a big deal. So bishop on f5 is now protected. Can I attack it with the knight h4 here? If I play knight h4, bishop takes c4, bishop takes c4, f5 is possible. There is also a very tempting thing of playing g4 now. But bishop takes g4 is unclear. Do I achieve anything there? I'm not sure. Maybe just to play h3 preparing g4. This can be also an interesting idea. So let's try it. h6. Now I guess g4 makes sense. And now I guess knight f6 is kind of very natural thing. Alright, knight f6, takes f6, takes h7. At the very least I have very good pawn structure and pair of bishops. That is what I wanted to achieve. Okay. Great. So now I think it makes sense just to go away and look at this f5 square. Very delicious. Yeah, light squares in general are very, very weak in black's camp. Yeah, just a perfect result for such an opening, right? Of course, my opponent played not the best way, but still. And by the way, that is how it works. You may notice that I usually try to compare positions with absolutely different openings, even sometimes with thinking about this reversed pawn structures and so on. So even if you play in a position that you have no idea how to play, so something new, try to find actually some things to base your decisions on. So try to recognize some patterns anyway. So for example, here I realized that it is just like, well, in Taimanov reversed. And I know what is Taimanov because I played many games against Taimanov. So I can remember some typical ideas. And I just start playing the same way, right? Using knowledge I already have. Yep. So sometimes you find yourself in a position that you absolutely don't know how to play, and it is not similar to anything. Um, but still, it's not the reason to panic and actually to be nervous. So just keep playing and everything will be fine. All right, rook b8. Rook b8. Knight h4 looks natural. But then what? What do I want to achieve here? Yeah, it's possible just to bring the knight to f5. Should be very good. h5 is also a nice square, but it takes a long time to get to h5, I think. So it's better to play this straightforward chess. f4 at some point. Or maybe h4, g5. Just an explosion. Queen c6 deserved attention. Instead of knight e6. But even in the endgame, I think white is much better. So here, to take on c6 or not, I think it's not necessary. Let's just focus. Let's just focus on the king's side. The knight is almost trapped here. Yeah, now it's trapped. Yep, lost. Is he reading the chat? Yes, I do. I read the chat. JK lol OHK. So, can I challenge you again? Kind of like, how fast can you checkmate lesson? Not really. So I actually want to play different players, but since we don't have challenges at the moment, so yeah, no challenges. You can challenge me again. Why not? So another question from Word20. How can I challenge you? You just go to leechess.org, find me among players online. You can see my nickname is Mostrovsky, and you just challenge me to 5 minutes or 3 minutes, so whatever you want. So let's have a look on what happened in this game quickly. So b3, e5, bishop b2, knight c6, e3. So I usually prefer playing knight f6 here immediately, when I play with black, I mean. And after bishop b5, attacking this e5 pawn, there is an interesting trial, bishop d6. So I play this with black, I mean. And if white takes on c6, d6, we deal in many cases with the position very close to Ruy Lopez, my favorite Ruy Lopez. Okay, so in our game, what happened in our game? So I played c4. I think a6 is just a waste of time, to be honest. And after this, d5, as we can see, we have this Taimanov hedgehog possibility reversed with changed colors. And since white has extra tempo and a6, which is usually not typical if you play against Taimanov, I think, well, white is at least no worse. Maybe white is even a bit better. Well, if compared to normal Taimanov. So here, knight e7. I think knight takes c3 was better, or maybe just knight to b6, accurate move. But knight e7 is kind of not very good square. So I played knight e4. Now f5 deserved attention, but after f5 I wanted to place it like knight g5, bishop c4 check, so on. After bishop f5 and bishop d3, there is a strategy, as we can see, of playing knight f6, which I think was possible to parry with the help of just bishop g6 move. So as we can see, bishop is protected. There is just a threat of playing f5 at some point, so white has to make a decision. I think that g4 makes sense here, just a typical Sicilian move, controlling f5 square, preventing this f5 e4, and if black makes this breakthrough, f7, f5. I just take on f5 and I control e4 square. So great outpost. The knight goes to g5 at some point and so on. But in this particular case, maybe it's okay to play f5. But still, you have to be ready to meet this bishop c4 and knight g5 idea. Okay, so let's continue. Let's continue playing. There are some challenges, and well, I actually promised. Yeah, I promised Oriental Heart 1 to play one more game, so let's play it. And then we'll continue with guys I didn't play today. Or tonight, it's better to say. So, bishop f4, d5. Well, I forgot about my experimenting mode today. Sorry for this, but, well, just... yeah, I want to play at least one game. Yeah, just making normal moves. So, queen b6, attacking b2. Yeah, let's make a break, I mean, on this experimenting. So, can I play bishop f5 here? I'm not sure, but it should be possible, right? It's kind of a bit annoying to be trapped somewhere there, but yeah. My opponent decided not to risk. Knight e4, queen c1, cd4, cd4, rook c8, something like this. Looks interesting, so let's bring the knight to the active position. Maybe even g5 is playable here after queen goes away, just like in Scandinavian. Again, I'm trying to recognize patterns in positions that are far from the openings I mentioned. So, for example, who cares about Scandinavian when you play against London system? But yeah, this is a blunder. I just take on g5 with the knight. I'm not against a simplified position after that, so I have extra minor piece. And I think no problems with converting this. So let's put the bishop on d6. Word 20 says, I'm on Lichess, I can't find you. So, as far as I remember, you have to go to, just a second, learn, play, community. Yeah, you have to check community players. There you can just type Mostrovsky nickname, and yeah, you will find me. Then you just click on Mostrovsky, and there will be a possibility to make a challenge. I think this helps you, Word 20. Okay, let's castle. I have found you. Great. Now you can make a challenge. b3. So you want it to be checkmated, right? So let's try to satisfy this. Let's come up with the attack. h2 is under attack. Takes. Let's continue the attack. So you wanted a checkmate, right? So let's try to do this. The pawn is going to be a queen next move. Or maybe I will make queen g1. It depends. Queen g2. Okay, h1 should be played here. Where is the checkmate? So Queen takes G. Okay, no checkmate. All right. Botvinnik would get heart attack seeing this title learned from chess blitz. Yeah, true. Absolutely right. That was fast. Yeah, because, well, actually, you gave me a chance to achieve a lot in the opening, especially after g5. Well, bishop g5 just... Yeah, that was too generous. So bishop g3 should have been played, whereafter I wanted to play h5. Just like in Scandinavian, with the knight in the center and the bishop somewhere here, just g5, h5. h4 is a threat, and if you make a move with the pawn, you weaken g3, and I can take there, and maybe then to can come up with the counter-attack. Or maybe just with the attack against this g3. That's the idea. So patterns are everything. Actually, the more you know, the more knowledge you have, the better. That's a very obvious principle, but many players forget about it. For example, I've heard many times from some of my students the story like, why should I watch this game? They play the opening, I never play, and so on. That is why. Because the more you know, the better. Sometimes you can use the information from absolutely different area and apply it to your current position. Okay, let's keep playing. Let's keep playing. Oh, here is Koval. I think I know who is that. We're 20, Gambiter, Prush, Kramnik student. Well, quite good guys, all of them. So let's try first word 20 and white pieces. Okay, so I played b3, let's play g3 now. Another experiment. d5, bishop g2. And c4. Well, there is an interesting move in the style of Miles, queen c2. Well, he played that in English opening once against Gena Sasonko. As far as I remember, he played something like c4, and the second move was queen c2 or something like this, or after e3 and then queen c2. So he wanted to avoid opening preparation of the opponent, and well, he succeeded. Here it is, another story. g6, very natural reply, by the way, intending to put the bishop on f5. I think in this case it's better for me to play this d3. G3 is not really experiment, it usually transposes to regular openings. Yes, but at the very beginning of the show I said that some openings will be just normal openings. The experiment means that I usually don't play them. So I have no idea what to play in each and every position. So I'm kind of playing without preparation. That's the idea. Yep. So bishop g7. Okay. Andre, can you recommend some game collection book which covers must-know classics? That's an interesting question. I have to think about it. Yeah. Yeah, probably Kasparov's my great predecessors. I don't know the better one. It definitely covers the all must-know classics. And it is well annotated. So what do we have here? Kind of English opening or something. Yeah, hard to tell. Very hard to tell. It's kind of a mix of different openings. But okay. So bishop e6 now. It's very tempting to put the queen on h4. But first, I want to try queen b4. But after queen b4, there is queen b6. I guess it's just fine for black. So let's try to play with the queen on h4. Gives me a chance to put the bishop on h6, to exploit some weaknesses in opponent's camp, and so on. Grandmaster Tournament, Zurich 1953. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely great thing. So Chronic Student says, it has been a long time since I read a chess book, just online videos and blitz games. So maybe it's better for you then to start with some periodicals. So I recommend New in Chess, for example. Just a beautiful magazine. Beautiful magazine, so a lot of annotated games and well, modern games mainly. A lot of materials for learning, for club players, so very nice. Very nice. Queen h5, alright. Now I think queen b4 starts making sense because it is a tempo move attacking b7. And at the same time, I control e7, so castling will be not that simple for my opponent. Of course, queen takes h5 would have been a great help to my opponent solving main problems. b6. Okay, so now diagonal g2 a8 becomes weak. Maybe I can exploit it even right away with a knight d4, can I? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. There is also some problems with the queen here, so maybe it's better to try to exploit the position of the queen instead. Because I will be happy to see something like queen c5 or queen a5. Just capture that queen with pleasure, damaging the pawn structure on the queen side. Just without much thinking even. Yeah, let's take it. Looks very good for white now. Should I blockade c5 pawn or not? I think it is a good idea, so let's make this active move knight e5, combining two ideas. So, to attack c6 and to prevent c4. Bishop d7. I'll put my knight simply on c4. Good blockading square. Castles. And what about bishop e3? Just attacking c5. It feels like something should drop very soon. Black simply has very, very weak pawns. For example, what about just knight a4, attacking this c5 one more time? Well, maybe it's not the best decision, but okay, works good. Now e7 is hitting, a7 is hitting. To grab this one more pawn, why not? Because b2 is still protected, right? Now bishop d4, just preventing counterplay. Intending to exchange the dark squared bishops if knight f6 goes away somewhere. I have two extra pawns and great chances to win. Take it. There are two ways here. Too many ways, I wanted to say. But two ways in the sense of castling or not castling, so I guess it makes no sense to castle here. I'll just keep my king in the center. It's already an endgame stage and black has no resources to attack it, so makes no sense to run away. f6. Okay. Let's make the life of this knight just an awful thing. Okay, I have a bad bishop, but it doesn't really matter because I have 2 extra pawns. And I have a chance to improve my bishop easily. Let us keep just simplifying the position. Let's cover the first rank. It was stupid. That is a blunder. So again, the same question about if I speak Russian. Yes, I do, but it is an English-speaking broadcast, so it doesn't matter. I mean, yeah. Okay, so in this game, what happened? Here, after g3, d5, bishop g2, and this, I don't think that d5 takes c4 is a good idea. It was much better to keep this central pawn and simply continue the development with the help of bishop g7. So knight f3, well, bishop g7 was actually played, but after knight f3, this d takes c4 happened. Instead, simple castling was much better in my opinion. Because in this case, black controls the center much better and white has way less opportunities to achieve something in this position. So I have to work hard here to activate my pieces. That's the point. If compared to what happened in the game, I just maneuvered my queen quickly to h4, preparing bishop h6 and so on. I had already a chance to start pushing my pawns in the center and so on. Yeah, I would recommend simple castling. Let's say after castling, it's possible to play knight e7, preparing e5, just a normal way of playing it. It's also possible to play d4 if you want to play positions of Benoni type, again reversed. So white is kind of playing Benoni here. Not a modern Benoni, but this classic old Benoni line. But in my opinion, when we deal with such a bishop, fianchettoed one, it's better to keep pawns like this. So just, yeah, restricting the bishop, trying to prevent its activity along the h1a8 diagonal. At the same time, as you can see, this bishop g7 has no real obstacles on the way, so you can gradually prepare some play on the queen side and so on. So every time when you want to make a decision like this, like d5 takes c4, think twice, because if you have a chance to keep the pawn in the center, in the vast majority of cases, it will be much better than this. Okay, so in our game, as we can see, I just had very comfortable position. And I think this maneuver in general, queen a5, queen h5, was just too much already. Bishop e6 was probably already not very good. I would recommend simply castling. And then quick development of this knight, maybe knight e7, knight b6, it depends. But the problem for black in this position is that it's very hard to find a counterplay. At very least, it's very hard to find anything really active because there is no center. There is no proper control over the center. While white has a chance to come up with d4, e4 at any moment he wants. There is also a big problem now with activating bishop c8. There is no good position, there is no concrete target, and so on. A lot of possibilities to put the bishop somewhere, for example, to e6 or f5 or g4, but each and every move makes no sense. I mean, it attacks nothing there. Yeah. And once you play b6 or something, you weaken diagonal and my bishop becomes a beast. Something like that happened in our game. So after bishop e6, this maneuver, and b6, the long diagonal became weak, and it was just a question of time. To activate my bishop and to exert pressure on c6 and so on. There is also another problem. So queen on h5 is kind of deprived of space, and after h3 there is already a threat of g4. Also, there was a subtle threat of just putting the bishop on g5 first, and then continuing with the g4. That was really annoying. That's why probably you play queen c5. Yeah. Otherwise, I would have played this bishop g5 or g4, also forcing you to a5 or c5. And after this, of course, white already has a strategically winning position because these pawns are not possible to protect. So I just attack them one by one, and at some point you simply have no chance to protect one of them. One of them just drops, and I win. Okay, let's continue with Prush. And again, white. So, very hard to experiment here, but let's play knight c3. I don't know. Stupid move. But now we have a transposition to something like Verisov. Maybe Dietmar Gambit. We should play with black, but let's try to play it with white. Let's see how it works. Aha. This is just a transposition to French defense. Maybe my opponent is a French player. Okay, here I have nothing better than just following the theory of French defense. So it will be kind of normal game. Okay. Magnus played knight c3, it can't be stupid. Well, it can be. Magnus simply can play what he wants because he is the best player. It doesn't mean that, well, the move itself is healthy and great. Just playable, but not very smart, in my opinion. So now we have just the theoretic position from French defense. And looking at how my opponent